All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our Q4 event. Can I just get a thumbs up, making sure everybody can hear me properly? Anybody, anywhere in the chat? Hey, thank you, Etienne. Yeah, also, all right, excellent. So, yeah, thanks everyone for joining us for our last event of the year. We'll go straight ahead and start sharing my screen again. Just give me 2 seconds before I go back to my other screen. All right. Um, just for context, they changed the interface of the of the event tool we're using called Bevy, which is great, but at the same time, yeah, just get used to it. All right, excellent. So yes, I started recording. So again, thanks everyone for joining. I know more will come as we get past lunchtime. This is our Q4 event for GDG Cloud Montreal called Solving Real World Problems with the latest GenAI solution from GCP. It's a mouthful, but it's awesome. Also, I couldn't resist to just go and try to create something that represents Montreal when it's snowing, and of course, a little side of poutine just to keep you warm. So thanks GenAI for helping me creating those those nice little pictures. Um, so this is our agenda for today. Pretty straightforward. Uh, um, so yeah, the agenda got a little intro housekeeping like we usually do. How to ask questions during the event. Um, we'll have a section around like GCP news, so going through news, some news that's worthy of sharing. Then we'll have a little LangChain TLDR coming from Uda, and then we'll have our main speaker Rihanna. I would say like the queen of AI, joining us to cover our main topic. Uh, and then we'll wrap up. So that's basically our agenda for today. So just going to our speakers today. Of course, you can all see us there. So there's myself, Stacy Verno. I'm from SE Cloud Experts. I'm a director of professional services and sales engineering. Also with the little logo on the top, I'm your organizer or co-organizer, I should say, for GGG Cloud Montreal. So hi everyone. With me, I have Uda also saying hi. Who's also a speaker, but also now co-organizer. Welcoming back Uda as a co-organizer, so it's great. So that's why we have the little GDG logo, and then of course we have Rihanna from Google joining us also for our talk around all the cool stuff we can do with GenAI and GCP, the latest solution. So we'll be able to intro ourselves properly during that time later on. So I just realized that everything I've put there is wrong now because they've changed the interface. So anyway, there's a if I'm not sure for everybody, but for myself, if I look at the bottom of my screen, there's a Q&A section. If I go there, I can actually see that the QA section is there, but there's no question being asked. So yeah, so I'm just gonna drop a word there, hello. So that's where the Q&A is. So this is no longer accurate. I will redo the screen capture for the future. But if your interface looks like mine, it's at the bottom, Q&A. You'll have a little bubble pop up, and then you're able to ask your question in there. Regarding question, actually, wanted to make sure that during this session, especially Rihanna's one, want to make sure that maybe we keep the questions for the end, make sure she has full time to present. And then if for some reason we're unable to answer live, we'll just take the question and get back to you. Probably what I'm going to do is that take those questions, put it in a Google Docs, and then put the link to that doc in viewer mode straight in the event page so everybody can see the questions and answers. So pretty straightforward. All right. Also, yes, feel free. It's stated straight there. We're in Montreal, so we do French, English. For English, go ahead. If you're comfortable more in asking a question in French, not a problem. More than happy to answer you. All right. So straight up, first topic, GCP news. I just yeah. So I can't hold myself from just like creating those crazy logos leveraging Gen AI. So it's a good thing I'm yeah we have some credits and stuff like that, so would probably cost me a fortune everything every time I'm running one of those. So I would just wanted to go through a few like share-worthy GCP announcement, mostly from the last 2 weeks, I would say. So basically, I'll cover a bit of stuff on GKE, GKE Enterprise. There were a lot of things on FinOps, cloud storage, BigQuery, and of course a little GenAI piece. Hopefully, Rihanna is not mentioning it in our topic. Don't want to steal her thunder. So she says no. All right, that's good. So yeah, so let's just get going. So in those news, there GK Enterprise that was announced. Basically, TLDR of what it is. GK Enterprise. If you ever like just play raw Kubernetes or with other providers, don't know why you would just keep with GKE. But there's a notion of fleet. So notion of fleet is multiple clusters being part of a whole, and basically GKE Enterprise, which brings fleets inside the management, allows you to basically be able to, let's say, like define teams with proper scope and namespace, but namespace that can go across clusters, which is pretty awesome. So that fleet management, which is something we usually see when people were leveraging more like I don't want to say the open source version, like the Kubernetes of Kubernetes, because GKE is just like raw Kubernetes, but just like under the Google umbrella, brings now Fleet inside the offering, which brings you that flexibility. And those clusters don't need to stay within GCP itself. Those clusters could be on-prem. Those clusters could be somewhere else. So if we were to zero in, can bring in NTOS in the mix and all that. But just wanted to say, like, this feature is now like GA available, and is something that actually brings GKE to another level. Also brings something we've covered in the past with GK Enterprise, which is that security posture. I always call it the security command center for GKE because then all those signals and insights end up in your security command center console. So if you want to know what's going on with your workload, like misconfiguration, the OS vulnerabilities, if you're implementing policies, also this is going to be your dashboard. Like I said, we already mentioned that in the past, but now it's actually GA. So you're able to leverage it also. Again, in your Kubernetes engine console, just on the left, you're able to go there. You'll see it. And for you to leverage. Sometimes if it looks like the one that's we're seeing online right now, like if advanced vulnerability, this cluster is really not happy. All right. Next one. It's not as sexy as GKE, but it's FinOps, the new FinOps sketchbooks, sketchnote with Cloud FinOps. So basically, the idea is everybody's concerned about money. It's the same thing. You need to be concerned about money inside your cloud infrastructure also. There is basically like say a culture shift that will help promote better consumption of cloud resources. Doesn't mean we don't want you to consume resources. Maybe there's a better way of leveraging the same $50,000 a month that you're spending on GCP. Maybe it's not 50, maybe it's $2,000. Still, there might be ways of doing things that optimize your consumption. And this goes through what we call a FinOps practice. So there are specific personas that we're seeing on the right, where you have like your FinOps manager, analyst. Those are not people that are there to block you. They're basically there to understand the way you're doing things. So in the end, say, oh, by the way, like we're seeing that 90% of your GKE clusters are all oversized. So if we right size them, we would save money and wouldn't actually block you on doing anything. So not a problem. So that's what actually FinOps can bring. It's not just that, but it's as a whole. So the sketchbook, the little sketch notes are there to kind of get you. It's like it's really eye level, but it kind of gives you an idea like why are we talking about FinOps and what is it about? Um, Still with FinOps, but going through a third-party partner that everybody kind of knows, and it's Terraform. So our friends from HashiCorp. So if you're leveraging things within GCP, like spinning compute or whatever you need, most of the stuff you'll automate this through Terraform. You'll do HCL, you do your thing. So if you're leveraging Terraform Cloud from our friends from HashiCorp, you're able to leverage their like again in the the spectrum of FinOps with like control cost, making sure everything is okay, or like deployed based on a specific budget approval. You can leverage the cost estimation that's coming from, let's say, Terraform Cloud, that will push your things into GCP, can validate your policies also and all that. So wanted to bring that up because, again, just FYI, for each of the slides, it's pretty obvious. It's top right. Instead of like sharing a bucket load of links, just put the QR code there. So in the end, if you want them, just play back the video. You'll be able to scan them and get the information on each of those news. So the piece there, the important part with the Terraform Cloud piece is that you're able to do cost estimation for any of the run that you're doing. Based on that and policies you've defined, you can accept or decline runs to be pushed into your environment. And anybody who's leveraging but also wants to do like sandboxing, something that's like short time live. I spin a project with like 20 resources. I'm doing an ETL job, and then I have a GA cluster running for anything else. Or of course, again, I have like Vertex AI enabled, and I have a loads of stuff running. I can put them in a ephemeral workspace, which is time bound. So you can say, well, those workspaces can only live for 24 hours, and at the end, they are all deep provision. So that way, you don't have like long running workloads that are costing you money. So nice little insight from our friends from HashiCorp. On the cloud storage side, there's the auto class now that's there for cloud storage bucket, but also existing cloud storage bucket. So we know in GCS we can actually have, we have our like near line, cold line, and all that with the weekend that we can tier our storage. There was the notion of auto class brought for new buckets. But now it's also for existing ones. So basically, you have like kind of like two ways of going at it. Like either the default one where I'm gonna transit you between standard and nearline based on whatever storage class I have, and the other one where you opt in, where you can actually go from standard to archive based on last time things were accessed, like 30 days, 60 to 75, and the rest goes into archive, which is a great way to manage your cost. Again, a little segue to FinOps, because this actually allows you to make sure that objects that are or buckets that are not used are actually declassed in terms of storage access, and the cost is lower to store them. Of course, then there's the cost of accessing them, but if you actually need to access them, they will be re-promoted to the right tier. So no longer talking about cost, just talking quickly about BigQuery, and I want to be mindful of my time. So there's a BigQuery cross-region replication that's been announced also. So basically what it does, it's basically allows you to have like a primary and secondary configuration for BQ in two different regions. So it brings you that resiliency. A lot of people say, yeah, I want like a BQDR, and kind of thing where say, okay, well, BQDR, how we go about this? Is there something easier than just like doing an export somewhere, then like re-uploading everything somewhere else? Now with this new option, like you have the possibility of doing that straight up in the interface natively, so it's less of a hassle. And you're having your async replication, which would actually be the same thing as if you were to say, okay, I'm going to do an export and load it somewhere else. You're in async mode, but this is actually baked in into the offering of BigQuery. So if you want to know more, scan the little QR code, and yeah, have a look. So that's my last slide. So next up is going to be Uda. It's the accelerating GenAI around the world with new data residencies guarantees. So basically, if you're doing GenAI, data residency is always something that comes up. Not just for GenAI, but for many things. Now there are actually like 10 countries across North America, Europe, and Asia where you can actually make sure that the data at rest is actually staying in Canada, for example. So that way you are okay with your let's say data residency requirement, even for the generative AI piece, which is a great addition to the already pretty solid offering from our friends from Google when it comes to GenAI, and giving you that control of living inside GCP itself instead of feeding someone else's model. All right, that's kind of good for me. So I'm still, yeah, I still need to share. I was gonna stop sharing and pass it on to you. Then, yeah,
Yeah, I'll keep you busy.
no
So
problem. Just
I'll,
let me know when you need me to. I'll just turn off my my video, and then just let me know when you need to switch slides, and I'll
sounds great.
deliver. All right.
Okay, everyone. Hello, my name is Huda. I am a past and newly back co-organizer of the GCP of the GDG Cloud Montreal. I'm also part of Women Tech Makers Montreal and a couple of other Google stuff. No, I'm kidding. Just those two. And today I will not take a long time. I'll just want to do a TLDR of LangChain because we need to talk about the language models. And they've made some serious progress, right? They've made amazing progress and came a long way, both in terms of quality but also quantity. We have so many models, everyone is interested in them. There's some drama going on. So, we want to be using them. We are at the stage where LLMs can now actually get what we're saying and even sometimes think it through to a reasonable extent. But there are some limitations with the LLMs. One of them is that past their training dates, they don't know what happened. So, if they're trained on data up to 2021, whatever happened next, they're not aware of. And the other thing is that it's almost impossible to know where the responses are coming from, right? But ideally, if we're going to use them, we like them to tell us where they got their information, but also specifically to stick to the facts. That's a part of the challenges and the objectives, the ideal scenario when using LLMs. And if you want to build those cool GenAI apps, well, the LLM itself is not enough. You really have to facilitate interactions with external systems. Um, and this integration will allow the models to get some data awareness, some agency, but also enable them to understand, sometimes reason, and use data to make informed decisions. And these external systems I'm talking about can be something like a public data repository, some private knowledge databases, APIs, or just access to the broader internet via a search. Like Google search. So that's what I'm saying here is you want to create your GenAI apps. You have your LLM, but it's not enough. You want it to communicate with other things. For example, imagine you want to have some application that converts some natural language into SQL, run the SQL on a database, analyze, and then present the results. Or you want to make some apps that synthesizes outputs from different models or chains models in some specific order. Of course, you can do that yourself, but gluing all these components together and then writing this code again and again every time you want to add a new component or a new model can become really annoying. And that's where LangChain comes in. So the TLDR for LangChain is really that it makes the complicated part of working and building with AI models easier. And it helps by doing this. It helps doing this with two things. The first is the integration. So it allows you to bring external pieces such as your files, other applications, etc., to your LLM. But also agency, which is this cool thing that allows language model to communicate with its environment, and the model will decide what the next action to take. What is the next action to take? Sorry. Next slide, please. So basically, in a nutshell, LangChain is a framework, and it's going to allow you to develop language model powered apps. And this framework and this image is really just from the LangChain documentation. We have several parts. So you have the actual LangChain libraries, Python and JavaScript, and these contain interfaces and integrations for different components. Then you have Another section with LangChain templates, which is a set of reference architectures for a wide variety of popular LLM use cases. You have LangServe, which is a library for deploying for deployment. Sorry, and the top part is still in beta and it's a closed beta, but Langsmith would be, when available, a platform that lets you debug, test, evaluate, and monitor all the, um, the chains that you built. So that's a big overview of the entire framework. And then next slides, please. If you want to look a little bit closer, what I wanted to show you is really just a quick tour of the concepts that I think are important to grasp. So as you can see here, it offers a variety of modules that allows you to create your LLM apps. And those modules can be either used individually for simple applications, or they can be combined together if you want to make more complex ones. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the models. These are the building blocks of LangChain, right? It's provide interface to different types of AI models. And the supported model types here are LLMs, chats, and text embeddings. I want to point to something important here is that LLMs really refers to the pure text completion models, whereas chat is usually or very often backed by LLMs, but these are tuned specifically for having conversations. So it is important to make this difference. And then we have prompts. Prompt is a set of instructions that the user provides to the model, and it helps guide the model, helps it understand the context, and generates coherent and hopefully relevant outputs. For example, it's going to answer your questions or just have some conversation. And then we have memory. Memory is an essential. So in a conversation, an important part is being able to refer to some information that was introduced earlier, right? Basically, what you want is at the bare minimum for a conversational system to remember some kind of window of past information or past exchanges in order to continue the conversation, right? And that's what memory refers to. So basically, what it provides is construct for storing and retrieving messages, either short term or long term. Other than that, we have indices. So because many LLMs application will require user-specific data that's not part of the model, that's what we were talking about earlier, then those indices will help LLM interact with documents by providing a way to structure them, retrieve them, etc., etc. Other than that, we have the chains from LangChain, right? So chains will let you combine modular components or other chains into a specific order to complete a task. And agents are this powerful construct in LangChain that will allow LLMs to communicate with the external environment, observe and decide on the best course of action to complete a given task. So it allows them to like decide what the next step is or what the next task is. And here again, the slight difference between chains and agents is really that chains, the sequence of action is really hard coded, and in agents is a language model that is used as a reasoning engine. So that's really the overview. I will not get into more details. I thought when we discussed with Stacy, we thought it was important to at least introduce you to some kind of framework that will allow you to build on top of to build your applications using those your language models. So that's really the overview. And if you want to know more or learn more, then in the next slide I have a couple of references. So Stacey, next slide, please. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, I forgot. I wanted to talk about some common use cases before I give you the references. So why would you use LangChain? A couple of different things that you can do is summarization apps, question answering, extraction, evaluation, querying tabular data, code understanding, chatbots or agents. These are common use cases. Honestly, when I wanted to show you one, and I found so many projects and so many use cases that just decided to list a couple, and then maybe refer you more to the LangChain blog itself. Has a lot of like their favorite apps and whatever is new, etc., and a couple of other things. So yeah, that's then my last slide. Next slide, please. So yeah, here my references for you would be obviously the LangChain, the repo, the website, the blog. Um, GCP's repo also has a lot of tutorials and notebooks that you can run and test with different use cases. So you look for the GCP repo, and under generative AI, you have a lot of different use cases and notebooks. And then if you're more into like structured lessons and tutorials, then it looks like Deep Learning AI has a couple of pretty cool courses. They're very short. Most of them are 1 hour long, and then you have the Intro to Generative AI from Google Cloud, which is a free course that you can take at your own pace. That will be all for me. If you have any questions, I'll take them probably after Rihanna's talk. We'll take all the questions. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Uda. Just a bit of background noise. I don't know if it's Rihanna, somebody is coming from you. Um, yeah, no, so yeah, thanks to yeah, any information we're going to share in a way, like I said, like we'll put it on the site. Also on the generative AI side of things, from the cloud skills boost from Google, there's like well, they keep on adding badges, so it's not because you're done that you're done. So have a look. All right, so on my end, I'm gonna stop sharing so that Rihanna can actually take over. Me stop my video and stop sharing. And Rihanna, you should be able to share. It starts to look like meat a bit, so getting familiar.
Thank you so much, Stacy. Can you please tell me if there's still a background noise on my
Not so
end?
much right now. It was like a buzzing noise, so I don't know if it was coming from reverb somewhere or something, but so far so good.
Oh, amazing. First of all, thank you so much, Huda and Stacy, for organizing the session. For people who don't know us, I actually worked with Huda in the past, and I really enjoyed being her colleague and having her on my team. So I'm very excited to be here today again and collaborating with both of you. I met Stacy on an event at Google, and I'm very, very happy to be here today. So, first of all, thank you everyone for being here today. My name is Rihanna Bsadek. I work as a customer engineer in AI and machine learning at Google Cloud in Montreal. And the goal of today is to share with you some of the latest technologies that Google Cloud offers in terms of generative AI solutions. So first of all, we'll start with a quick introduction. We'll talk a little bit about a differentiation between customer-based needs, enterprise-grade needs when it comes to generative AI solutions. And then we'll talk about generative AI technologies and some use cases. And I think that I have been disconnected from my head. Just take it off. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Amazing. All right. So, first of all, I always want to start with this code because I find it very relevant to what we're discussing, especially when it comes to generative AI. So, why are we all here today? The main reason I believe is that AI is now considered as the most profound technology that humanity is working on. It's more profound than electricity, than fire, or anything else that we have done in the past. And I think that generative AI in particular, and this is, I'm still quoting our CEO at Google, is going to change the way we do our work, the way we live, and it's going to change any industry. So that's why I am so excited to be here today and to tell you how we can improve all of our processes using our this exciting technology. So, quick intro to generative AI, and you've probably heard about it multiple times before. And I'm just one of the people who is introducing the topic for the 101 times. Generative AI is a type of intelligence that creates new content that has not existed before, and it can be image, audio, video, or text. More specifically for LLMs, as Huda mentioned. And large language models is one type of generative AI. So it has this emergent ability to learn or do create new content without explicitly being trained on doing these things. So you can train a large language models on a large corpus of text, and then it's able to translate, to answer questions, to code, and so on. And this is why we find it fascinating. Before I move forward and I talk about technologies, I would love to highlight some differences between consumer needs solutions and enterprise grade solutions, because I still believe that there are people who are a bit confused about the use of ChatGPT, Bard, and the use of the LLMs on Azure, Google, AWS, or any other cloud provider. So I want you to give full attention to this slide because it's so important. Consumers like you, anyone in this meeting, Stacy, Huda, myself, when we are at home, and enterprises, when me or Huda and Stacy are working in a company, we do have different needs, because consumers are enchanted by the accessibility and sheer power of generative AI, uh, compared to many enterprises that need more than just a capability to complete sentences or to answer questions. So if I am traveling to Italy and I'd like to find the best restaurant out there, I can use my consumer-based solution that can be Bard or any other solution, and I can ask this question without any concern about anything else. But enterprises, they need more control over their data, especially their IP. They need compliance, and they need to ensure that the cost of training or doing inference on these models do not skyrocket. So using these models can cause millions to train and scale. So this is why it's important for us to provide different solutions for different targets. And this is why, if I am a consumer and I would like to plan a trip, then I can easily go and choose any model over there. But ideally, I do not put any personal information or confidential information over there. But if I'm an employee, or if I'm a VP, a CEO or CDO, then I have to be very careful which model I'm using, which platform I'm using, and if my data is secure, and if the cost is reasonable for me to give access to hundreds of thousands of people over there using my platforms. I also would like to make sure that the data that is generated by the model is accurate and is also secure. So this is why today the focus of this presentation is only be going about enterprise grade solutions. I'm not going to tackle any consumer based solutions because the need is different, and I believe that many people who are here would like to implement generative AI into their businesses. So at Google Cloud, our mission is very simple. We want to make AI helpful for everyone. And this is why we would like everyone to be able to create amazing content, to be able to synthesize and organize information, to automate business processes, and especially to build engaging customer experiences, because customers today are used to having an easy experience, a smooth experience, and especially smart experience. So at Google, we do have two different types of solutions. The first one is called Vertex AI. It is a platform for people who would like to build AI solutions, and Duet AI is for people who would like to use AI technologies. So Duet AI is what we call your AI collaborator. It can be on Workspace, which means Google Chat, Google Meet, Google Slides, Google Documents. So we ingested all of our AI capabilities into the Google spreadsheet and all these solutions in Workspace to make sure that every user can be is able to generate emails in a few clicks, to use spreadsheet in a very smart way to generate different types of content in all of our technologies. We're even now ingesting capabilities to generate images into Google Slides and to summarize video calls into Google Meet. We also have Do It AI in Google Cloud to help developers. We have what we call your AI assistant. So if you'd like to create new functions, then you can ask any question to this assistant and it will be able to generate functions for you without the need to have an expertise in Python or any other language. We have above 12 languages available. We recommend it for people who already have programming expertise because it will enable you to code and develop faster. But Vertex AI is different from Do It AI. So I totally recommend everyone to go and use Do It AI. It's an amazing technology, but I believe that today's meeting is for people who'd like to develop. So our focus today is not only for enterprise grade solutions, but also for people who'd like to develop and build AI solutions. So let's start with Vertex AI, which is I call it personally, the Disneyland for people who love to build AI technologies. So wherever you need, you can find it on Vertex AI. And we have a talented, amazing team of product managers and engineers who are constantly improving Vertex AI to make sure that you have everything you need, whether you're a data scientist, machine learning engineer, or just an AI practitioner. Even a business user who would like to implement AI solutions. Sometimes we do have solutions that require no code expertise to train models. So Vertex AI runs on our world-class AI infrastructure, which includes our global network of our advanced TPUs or GPU capabilities to train and serve models. On this infrastructure, we are building multi-model foundation models. Currently, we are working with PaLM2, our recent LLM that support, it's actually our recent generative AI model that supports chat, like what I mentioned before, text, also code, image, and we do actually have other models for images that's called Imagen, for speech, and very soon we'll have video capabilities available as GA, but for now it's in preview. So we do have plenty of solutions, but I guess what's most interesting right now is what are the available models on GCP, or more specifically on Vertex. So at Google, we started with our foundation model that's called PaLM2. And we then optimized PaLM2 to different specific tasks with different sizes. So PaLM2 is our most performing or better performing large language models that are available out there that you can use through the API, but you can also use through a user interface. And then besides PaLM2, we decided to create specific models that provide specific industry expertise. So we built MedPaLM2 for life science and healthcare, and we built SecPaLM for cybersecurity and security. We also do have 3 exciting models that I briefly mentioned before. The first one is Imagen. And Imagen allows you today to generate images, customize images, and also edit images. It's pretty fascinating, to be honest with you. If it's generally available, you can go to Vertex AI and click on image. I'll do a demo very quickly later. And you can just ask the model to generate you an image. Sometimes it does not generate the perfect image with in using the first prompt, but you can ask follow-up questions or put some follow-up prompts and it will be able to generate a fascinating image. And based on my experience, I have been using Imagen for the last, let's say, 8 months, and it has only been improving. So I really recommend you use Imagen to especially edit images for marketing teams who require editing some products before putting them into the social media platforms. Our second model, and is one of my favorites too, is called Chirp. And it has speech to text language capability. So it's able to capture your voice in more than 300 languages, which is amazing compared to any other speech to text model that we have with a very high accuracy. So it's also available on Vertex AI, and you can start testing it on small chunks of audio on the Generative AI Studio or through API as well. Cody is the latest model that I'm going to talk about with regards to our foundation models, and Cody enable you to generate code, to complete code, to comment code, and is even used today in BigQuery for people who would like to generate queries based on natural language prompts. So if you are a data engineer or a junior data engineer and you don't have lots of skills into lots of SQL skills, then you can use Cody to generate queries using natural language prompts. So you can tell, hey, can you create me a table with these columns, and I want you to populate it with these values. Then in our backend of Do It AI and BigQuery, we have Cody, but you can also call Cody to build your own applications. I see that there are so many messages in the chat. I did not read. Is there any question, Stacy and Huda? I trust you guys. Maybe summarize it for me so that I can answer.
So far, so good.
Amazing. Perfect. So we talked about our foundation models, and I want to mention this very important point. I see a lot of people on LinkedIn trying to compare one model to another model, but in reality, there's more than these two models in the world. And at Google Cloud, we're not giving you just Palm 2 or Cody or Imogen. We are providing you with a platform that has more than 100 models. And these models are not only our foundation models, there are also other second party models. So some of our partners like Anthropic or Cohere, they do have their models on our platform, and we also choose and pick the best selection of open source models from Hugging Face and put them on GCP or Vertex AI, and the solution is called the Model Garden. So the Model Garden is great for developers because it allows you to discover but also tune some of these models and make them yours. So for example, we provide you with the ability to fine-tune the text Python model, which is a fine-tuned version of PALM 2 on your own data. And it does not also require coding expertise because you can just use parameter-efficient fine-tuning using the user interface, and you just have to bring your own examples of tasks that you want the model to be trained on. So, for example, I am trying to build a new application, and I really require very specific expertise. And I would like the model to learn it from my own examples. So I think there is a minimum of like 100 examples, especially for classification tasks. And some other specific tasks. But if you provide these 100 examples in a JSON format, then you can simply fine-tune the text Python model, and you will find it later on in the Generative AI Studio that I'm going to present very soon. And you can just call directly the API of your model in your own tenant. So with all the security grade that we offer on Google Cloud for any other model. So I invite you all to go and take a look at the model garden. As you see here, the models are classified by types. So there are language models, vision models, and tabular, speech, documents, and even dialogue models. You can also classify or find the model that you're looking for based on the tasks that you'd like to achieve. It can be a classification model, detection model, it can be an embedding model if you have large sizes of documents that you'd need the embedding model instead of the text model. It can be an extraction model, it can be a feature search, it can be forecasting, and if you'd like to only use foundation models, you can also filter the models based on that. And once you click on any of these models, you'll have a card with all of the explanation with regards of this model, what you can use it for, and sometimes you'd find a notebook where you can already call this model either on Google Colab or on Vertex AI Workbench so that you can start playing with this model on your specific tasks. All right. So we talked about Palm 2, we talked about Cody, Imogen, and Chirp, and we talked about the Model Garden. And these are fantastic tools for developers who would like to create their applications. And you don't have to only use one single model, you can have multiple models in one single application. Now, my last tool that I would like to talk about is Vertex AI Search. And Vertex AI Search is really interesting, especially for business users, because it's a drag and drop interface and it's also a code-free environment. So it makes it very easy for any one of you to create and also deploy any search application. So if you are used to having a very smooth and easy experience using Google search, then you probably would like to have the same experience when you're working in a company. So you can implement today the same experience as Google into your own platforms, either for your internal employees, but also for your customers. So Vertex AI Search is a prepackaged solutions that provides you with Google quality multi-model, multi-turn search experience for your customers or your employees. The good thing about it is that we always talk about hallucinations and how these models are not giving us factual results. Then today you can kind of mitigate this by using Vertex AI Search because it allows you to have grounded results using your own enterprise data. So this means that you can use your internal documents to answer questions, which would reduce hallucinations. And if the answer is not available in any of your documents, then the model is gonna tell you, I don't have enough information to answer this question. So Vertex AI Search uses data connectors, it uses extensions, and it uses vector search. Um, the interesting thing about enterprise search, or what we call now Vertex AI Search, is that it's useful, especially if you like to scale a wide range of siloed data to retrieve accurate and trusted information. So you can have a variety of data everywhere in your company databases. You can just bring it into one single data store and create a Vertex AI Search application in few minutes, and I'll show you how to do this once I'm done with the presentation. Now, one important solution I forgot to introduce, but this one is the perfect tool for people who'd like to start with generative AI. It's called the Generative AI Studio, but I invented a new name for it. I call it now the Magic Studio because this is where magic really happens. So the Generative AI Studio is the simplest way to take advantage of generative models. And if you are listening to this presentation and you're saying, oh my God, Rihanna, I don't want to use APIs. I don't have the expertise to do it. Can I just use something like Bard or ChatGPT to test? Well, this is the solution for it. The Generative AI Studio, as I said, is the easiest way to take advantage of generative AI models. It's the perfect solution to show value of this technology, especially to non-technical people, without having them disconnected after a few minutes, as it's very simple to showcase and to understand. So this is how it looks like. We give you the opportunity within the Generative AI Studio to test our language models, our speech models, and our vision models. Our language models contain text, chat, but also code models. Our speech is what I mentioned before about Chirp for speech to text, but it also gives you the ability to do text to speech. Vision is the image and model that provides you ability to generate images or new areas of an existing image. This is how it looks like. Once you get into the Generative AI Studio, you'll have a prompt gallery where you can try some examples where prompts are already made for you and you can see the results of these prompts, but you can also create your own. So this is how the interface looks like. It's very easy to use. You have the model on the top right, so you can pick either the text Python model, the chat Python model, the Cody model when it comes to our Google Foundation models. But as I mentioned before, if you already fine-tuned your own version of the model on your specific task, then you'll find your model in the list of models and you can call it directly. So it's very easy to write your prompt and then set up the parameters to the values that are best for your own use case. So as you see here, we have the temperature, maximum output tokens, top K, top P. All of these parameters are responsible of the quality of the output that you're generating. The maximum output tokens is a parameter to limit the number of tokens from very small number to a very large number. And this is made specifically for enterprises who are not who would like to limit the answer to like few tokens or few hundreds of tokens, because they have probably hundreds of thousands of users or millions of users. So they want to make sure that um, customers are not using the API in like an extravagant way. The temperature allows you to have, if it's very low, it means that the answer is going to be kind of consistent whenever you ask the same question. And if you put the temperature to a higher value, then it gives you more creative answer, but it's also prone to having more hallucinations. Top P and top K is more about the probability of giving you answers from a certain chunk of text that the model has been trained on. And especially, let's say you ask a certain question and the answers, the most common answers are repeated in a small chunk of text. But if you open up, then you get less with a lower probability answers. So you can decide on the parameters, you can test them, and based on the quality of the answer that you receive, you can say, okay, now I'm going to put the temperature to 0 2, the maximum output token to 300, and the top P and top K to certain values. Once this is done, you can save the prompt and you can save the parameters so that you can get back to it later. For those who are especially business users and not technical people, it is ideal that you test the Generative AI Studio, and then once it's done, we have a new button. You can't see it here, but it's called Save View Code. So you can see all the calls to the API with the prompt, with the parameters populated for you, automatically generated, so we can give it to the developer and they will insert it into your platform. So this is the Generative AI Studio. I am short on time, but I'll try to do quickly so that I can do a demo. But I tried to think about examples that you can easily start using within your applications. Before I start talking about the applications, there is a very important thing I would like to mention, is that I want to highlight the fact that whatever I am showing today is not enough for you to create an application that is complete and secure and ready, enterprise grade ready, especially not to move it to production right away. So I do not recommend you going to the Generative AI Studio, generating the code, and then putting as it is in an application. There are various steps that you should take before moving to production, and it's all based on the problem that you're going to solve, the AI maturity level of your company, the experience of your team, but also different efforts, the cost, and the implementation times. But let's assume that what we're showcasing today are going to be used in the proof of concept. I want you to also consider some parameter efficient fine-tuning techniques that you can use to make it more specific, to avoid hallucination, you can also integrate reinforcement learning with human feedback to ensure that you have better responses from the model. Sometimes you'd also consider the cost of hosting your models, the infrastructure, whether you're going to use GPUs or TPUs, sometimes CPUs. I want you also to think about operations, to think about security, to think about privacy and compliance requirements of your company before moving this application for production, because I hear it a lot. Everyone is making generative AI look very, very simple, but very few people are moving their applications to production. So maybe another day, Stacy and Huda can share resources with you about how to move your AI or GenAI application to production, the important steps to consider. So whatever I'm showing here and whatever use cases I'm showing here, I want you to consider that there are many other factors that you have to take into consideration, especially if you'd like to have an optimized, monitored GenAI application that is safe for you, but also for your customers. Um, So the first use case, and it's something that I've worked on with the past with some of my customers, is process automation. I used to call this slide pipeline automation, but in reality, it's a it's also a process automation. Um, so one of the things that I think LLMs are very good at is to automate repetitive tasks. Any time-consuming task that a human can do, it can probably be done with LLM if we do it correctly. So, one of the projects that I've worked on is um, using large language models and OCR technologies using our Vision API on Google. It can also be used using Document AI, but it's to retrieve information from documents and anything that the human was trying to extract, let's say the name, the age, or any other information about the person. It can be extracted using OCR, and then it can be summarized using large language models. But sometimes, as a human being, you would like to answer very simple questions based on documents. So you have document A about a certain person or about a certain procedure, and you have document B that has certain guidelines. So LLMs are very good to see if this information is matching other information. So instead of it taking an hour by a human being um, to do this process on one document and to make sure that the person is not making any mistakes, this task can be automated in, let's say, 7 or 10 seconds. So it saves a lot of cost for the company, and it also improves the scalability of the tasks. And then the person who is used to do this type of processes can just come and verify if the results are accurate or not based on the LLM. So this is one use case. The other use case is for customer service representatives. So if you are constantly talking to customers and you're answering questions, sometimes you'd like to get context on previous conversations. So what LLMs can do, or our model can do, is that it gives you support on real time by summarizing any previous conversations, but also identifying any challenge that the customer went through in the past. And it can help you as a customer service rep to review the information, how to solve the actual challenge by suggesting some solutions from your own internal documents. So it saves a lot of time instead of saying on the line, hey, can you please wait for a few minutes? I'm going to go and check the information. Or if you are on the phone, you can immediately get a summary. You can get also recommendations on what to do next. So LLMs are really good at doing this. Another use case is to understand customer feedbacks, especially in retail. So if you have, let's say, hundreds of products or thousands of products, then you'd like to identify which ones are more popular than others. So you can simply go to all your social media comments or feedbacks and analyze which ones are the positive, which one are the negatives, so that you probably sell more of these positive products, and try to find a solution for all the negative feedback that you receive. Instead of going through thousands of comments, you can just get a summary and you can get them classified. These products are doing really good, and these products are having some issues. So it's very easy to put in place, especially when you like to optimize your marketing campaigns. Marketing content generation. This example is very popular. It's very weird. I see myself twice, but it's very easy right now to generate blog posts, to create social media posts, to write product descriptions, and also to generate email campaigns. As you see here, the example is using our Generative AI Studio. So you can just give some specifications about the product, and it helps you write specific or detailed product descriptions in few seconds. But this can be automated to up to millions of products, and it will help you save lots of time. So this is the last example. I will ask Stacy and Huda if I still do have time for a quick demo. Then I will stop sharing my screen and also,
100%.
yeah, amazing. All right, okay. So let me open my Google Cloud Platform console on my account, and I think I lost you guys. Oh yeah, I can see it. All right. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Amazing. So this demo is not specifically for technical people, it's for everyone. I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible and talk about the solutions that I just highlighted during the presentation. So as you can see here, we are on the intro page of Google Cloud Platform. So I'll go to the search bar and I will simply search for Vertex AI, our Disneyland for AI practitioners. So we are already on Vertex AI. So I will zoom out a little bit, and as you can see here on the left menu, you have all of our AI solutions. So this solution I talked about earlier, and I call the Magic Studio, is the Generative AI Studio. So you only have to click on Overview to start playing with the tool. So let's take an example and go to the language model. So I will click on Open, and as you see here, there's text prompt, there's code prompt, but there's also the text chat and the code chat. So I'll do an example of with the text prompt. Before I move forward, these are the example of the chat of the prompt gallery that you can access, also get inspirations from. These are some examples that you can leverage into your own application today. So I'll go ahead and click on text prompt. And here, as you can see, I already have my user interface, so I can start writing some prompts. Give me 1 second here. All right, so let's take an example and write maybe this prompt. I find it interesting. Let me zoom in a little bit. So I'll ask the model to generate a personalized treatment plan for a patient with a chronic disease. So as you see here, there are more advanced parameters than the one I showed in this slide. So today you can also add the maximum number of model responses up to 8. So you can, instead of having one response, you can have up to 8 responses. And you can also do the streaming response, which means you can get the answer while the model is thinking. So the example of the prompt I used here is I was looking for a treatment plan for a patient with a chronic disease. So I get immediately a response of a patient named John, aged 65. He's a male, he has diabetes, and I get a medical history, current medications, goals of treatment, plan, follow up, and also some additional information. Now I'll go ahead and I will do a prompt on a totally different industry, which is education instead of healthcare. And I will ask my model to create a customized learning plan for a student based on their individual needs or goals. I will make it more for a student looking into learning artificial intelligence. And let's see what our model is going to do. I'll change a little bit of the parameters. I'll make the token limit longer, more of the temperature to get a more creative answer. And I already have my streaming responses activated, so the model is going to answer me while it is thinking. I'll put it as a markdown view. So customized learning plan for learning artificial intelligence. Ooh, here I do have Chinese, so the model is hallucinating a little bit. So let me put the temperature a bit lower and ask the model again. So here, to learn the fundamentals of artificial intelligence and apply them to solve real-world problems, I get some prerequisites, which are basic programming skills in Python or Java. This is quite accurate. Familiarity with linear algebra and calculus, some exposure to machine learning concepts, and I get some recommendations on learning resources. I have tried Coursera. Udacity is amazing for AI courses. edX, so it's pretty relevant. I even get some book responses. So I got tutorials and I get a learning path all in just few seconds. And now I would like to integrate this into my application. So I can either save it, give it a name, AI learning plan, but I can also I can also view the code. So as you can see here, I have 3 formats for me to call the code. You already see the name of my project, the location, all the parameters, and the prompt. For now, you probably find it useless to call the code, but if you have a very long prompt with very specific parameters, then it's better to just click on view code and copy and paste it into either your workbench on Vertex AI or on your Google Colab. So let me go back to you guys and see if this is clear. I do have another demo. I don't know if we still have time for that, Stacy. You let me know.
I don't have a meeting right now, so I can stay and we can just go. There's still people there, so I know I've ran this until like 1:15. So we still have time. If you want to show, more than happy to. The wrap up piece is super short, so the model forgot to say that on the plan for learning artificial intelligence to attend a session by Rihanna also.
Perfect. All right. So the last thing I wanted to show you is how easy it is today to create a search engine. So I will go to Vertex AI search and conversation. So for this solution, let me give me 1 second. I will stop sharing my screen. I think I am on the wrong project. Sorry, guys. I'll just go to the right model and share again to the right project. Perfect. So, let me share my screen again. All right. So as you can see here, I am already in Vertex AI search and conversation. I will go again for those who did not follow. So you'll see here that I already created an application, but I'll show you how to create a new application in a few minutes. So you'll click on new app and you can choose one of these apps. It can be a search app, chat app, or a recommendations app. So for this use case, I am going to create a search application and I'm going to activate, but it's already pre-activated, our enterprise edition features, which contain extractive answers, image search, but also website search. So you can even use image as a query because it's multimodal. And you can also use the advanced LLM features. So you'll have summarizations and you'll be able to ask follow-up questions. So I'll give it a name. I will call it GDG Demo 2. And I will give the name of my company, which is GDG Montreal. I will call it Stacy. And then I can choose the region. So for this example, I'm going to have it global and it is multi-region. So now the only thing you have to do is to create a new data store. So just to show you the option that you do have, it is you can either use website URLs, you can use BigQuery, you can use Google Cloud Storage, but you can also use APIs. So for this example, I am going to use a Google Cloud Storage. So you can either bring a folder that contains multiple files, and this can be PDF files, HTMLs, and different types of files, as you can see here, PDF, HTML, TXT. You can also have JSON structured data, JSON for unstructured data with metadata, and you can even have CSV. So for my example, I already created a Google Cloud Storage, so I'll go to GCS. I'll come back there. And you'll see that I already uploaded my documents. So it only takes a few minutes to crawl this data. And once we finish creating the app, I'll go back to me first get the address of my GCS that I already created. And I put into it only 2 documents that I opened right here. So one of them is a research paper called Recursively Summarizing Enables Long-Term Dialogue Memory in Large Language Models. And the second one is Large Language Models Still Cannot Plan from Arizona State University. So let me go back. So what I had to do is to add the GCS data. So I already added it for the app that I created for the demo. And as a result, that's everything you need to do, by the way. You will see that the data you have already stored here. The only thing you have to do next is to preview the app, and you can preview it either on like a computer or desk window or a mobile window. So let's go ahead and ask my model some questions, and sorry, I'll show you how the model is going to react. So one of the articles, I found that they were talking about something called open domain dialogue systems. So I'm going to ask my model, what are open domain dialogue systems? And it gives me an answer immediately um, from the article, and it gives me a reference to the first article that I uploaded. Now, the new feature that was added is to ask a follow-up question, so I can tell him, hey, what is it used for? So it tells me that open domain dialogue systems are used for a variety of tasks, and this can be answering questions, providing information, and holding conversations. Now I'm going to ask another question that is totally different, but I will say, tell me about Google Developers Group. There's not enough information to answer the query, and I put this question on purpose to show you that the model is it's there's very tiny or little chance for the model to hallucinate because it's very grounded. So if you did not put anything with regards to GDG, it is not going to answer the question. You can also have here, you can integrate it right away as a widget or as an API. And then you have also access to analytics, which gives you access to information with regard to the queries for the last 14 days. So who searched, not who searched, but how many searches have been made, what is the CDR, and all the metrics that you need. And this is only in few minutes by uploading your data. So by this, I wanted to show you the easiest ways to use Google Cloud generative AI solutions that are mainly drag and drop or user interface based. I hope it's useful for all of you, and I will pass it back to you, Stacy.
Thanks, Rihanna. Thanks for giving us the extra time. I was looking at the question. Actually, Louis sent a question in the Q&A regarding the evolution of the LLM field. Uh, Actually, Louis, I've put the answer from Uda, who had to drop for a meeting at 1 p.m. So she gave me the answer through LinkedIn. So I've put the link in there. So hopefully you're still online, and then you'll see the answer. I've personally put a question, and purely for self-interest, Rihanna, maybe you can answer me. You've shown right now the integration with GCS for like the Quip app building. If I wanted to, like many people using Workspace, if I want to plug Google Drive in there, do I have to go API? Do I have to go Document AI warehouse? Like, or is it coming as a native integration?
Um, this is a very good question, and I think many companies are using Workspace, but they are also using other Microsoft tools to store their documents. I think there are timelines to integrate the internal platforms for document storage into Vertex AI Search. It's not done yet, unfortunately, and we're not sure if we're getting there. But we do have other solutions. I'll provide you the name later that are already connected to all Google Drive, where you can already have your own Google on all your documents. It still does not have the ability to summarize. It doesn't have LLM integrations.
Yeah.
I'll
That's
send
the
you.
key piece that we're like, well, a lot of people are looking for, is that
Yeah, for
we all
LLM.
know Google Drive can be a mess. It's
Yeah,
nice, it's easy to search, but sometimes like I would love to know what's inside the doc. So that's why I'm asking. But
you are totally right. And I'm going to look into this because this is recorded and I don't want to say n'importe quoi.
yeah.
Let me look into the timeline if we're going to add Google Drive, and then see if we are going to add Google Drive as an extension of Vertex AI
Yeah.
search.
Because I'm pretty sure, like, like maybe like on the work, like raw workspace side of things, maybe through Duet or something, like there may be stuff that can happen.
Do it
Uh,
AI is different.
yeah,
Do it in AI in Workspace. They are probably going to integrate LLM capabilities into search of Google Drive. I'm not sure yet. I'm not a Workspace expert, but if this is of interest, maybe we can publish this later into the website. The answers to the extensions on Workspace and on Google Cloud.
perfect. And just looking at the questions. There's one from Midi, and just want to be mindful of everybody's time also at the same time. Okay, so what is the privacy policy of Google LLMs, for example, regarding private slash
Mhm.
confidential slash customer data?
That's a very good question. The one very famous quote that we always say that your data is your data. We do not see your data. It stays in your own tenant, whether it's your prompt or you are you training or doing fine tuning of the model. Uh, so your data is encrypted, whether in rest or in transit. We do have lots of documentations with regards to our privacy. Measures for LLMs. So I'll send you the link, Stacey, and then you can publish it later on the website.
Cool. And then we'll go with one last question. So I want to make sure we don't get kicked out by the platform. It has its own mind and say, okay, we're done. Satnam was mentioning, what are Google's GenAI tools, for like day-to-day use, like a consumer can use on the GenAI side?
Yeah, so for this, we're not talking about Vertex AI. We are mainly talking about Do It AI, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. So Do It AI is going to enable you to write emails automatically by just highlighting what you'd like to write in the email. If especially if you're working with, let's say, let not confidential, but you're working using professional data, you would like to use Do It AI because it's way more secure than any other consumer-based solution. It will be available on Google Spreadsheets, on Google Docs, on Google Slides, on Google Chat, where you get summaries of all the conversations, especially if you have been on vacation. So I would recommend using the Do It AI suite of products on Workspace. Gmail is the first one. I think there are limitations on the number of licenses that have to be acquired by a company before activating Do It AI, but it's something that you probably can we can research on Google and find the answer. But Do It AI is what I do recommend for a day-to-day use.
Perfect.
I
Thank
think the other question was really interesting about. Give me one second. I'll read it again. Uh, I feel LLM field evolved so quickly that it's difficult to see what tool should we use for that. Let's say I want to build a chat specific to responding to my company's customer questions. I have a corpus of responses. The starting point would be to choose one of Google's foundation models. Then can I fine tune it through Vertex AI with my corpus? Where does LangChain fall in this flow? Okay, so there's only one solution I did not tackle today. It's called Vertex AI Conversation. So everything I showcased with Vertex AI Search, you create the data store, you put all the documents, can be used to also create conversation applications. So this is the first step I would recommend you to do is to create a data store with all your company data and then create a conversation applications. If you want to tune it and configure it a little bit by adding some instructions, by rectifying or fine tuning the parameters of the LLM, then it will take you automatically to our solution that is specific for chat applications, which is called Dialogflow CX. And then you can either create flows, you can specify the parameters of the LLM that you like to choose, and then you can make it more specific and personalized for your application. This is my recommendation. There are other ways to build chat applications for sure using the chat API or even the text API. Is feasible. I think it's the same price also for 1,000 tokens. And then LangChain would be a great idea to integrate it because it will allow you to even use different APIs. And you can also mitigate the limit of LLMs, as Huda mentioned. They have been trained to a certain date, so you can use the Google Search API. You can use the Google Maps API. You can use API that will give you more updated or up-to-date information. So this is where I see LangChain also being used. It's when you don't use a prepackaged solution like Dialogflow CX or Vertex AI Conversation. It's when you want to build from scratch your own application, but then you are responsible for your own security, privacy, confidentiality measures for your own data. So I hope this answers your question, Louis.
Cool. Think that goes through everything. And before, like I said, we get kicked out, I'm gonna just gonna wrap it up. It happened once. I'm just gonna share again. So for everybody, like we've posted it in the chat. If you wanna continue the conversation, we have a Slack channel that's public through GDG Cloud Montreal. Well, GDG Montreal's channel, and then there's a sub channel for Cloud Montreal. It's called Montreal Public. So just have a look, scan the QR code. I already saw a few of you just jumping in um, as new members of our Slack space. So that's great. Um, Next 24 is coming also like super quick. Next 23 was like last week. Not really, but I mean, it felt like last week. But the next one's already coming. So if you're able to go to Vegas in April, then registration are open, early bird pricing. So so far I'm going. So if anybody else is coming, then we can actually just go and meet there. There's always one question that happens. It's like, is this recorded and when is the video available? So yes, once we're done with this, give me like 30 to 45 minutes time to processing, then re-upload to YouTube, and then the link, actually, if you go back to the event space, it's just going to pop up straight in there. And if there's anything else that we'll share, we'll just update the event with the link. And that's pretty much it. So I want to thank everybody for your time. We still have a bunch of people connected. So clearly, not a surprise that Gen AI or AI in general is of interest for a lot of people. I want to thank you again, Rihanna, for your time today. It was awesome. I know we've been planning this for a long time. Me bugging you on LinkedIn and then stalking you at data events downtown Montreal. So thanks so much for your time. It was great. A lot to learn, a lot that we can do with GCP. I think it's really awesome. So again, big thank you. And I'll take you. You've been recorded, so you've proposed coming back to maybe go into like put these things in production and show it. Then maybe we can just do that as a follow-on event. Maybe we can do it in person. We don't know. It always varies with GDG. And the winter is coming. No pun on the TV show, but we know that downtown Montreal in winter, sometimes people just rather work from home. But we'll get there. Again, big thank you everybody. Give me 30 minutes. This thing's gonna be online, and we'll see you back for the next GDG Cloud Montreal event in Q1 of 2024. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Stacy.
You're welcome. Bye, everyone.